Baruch Hashem, Motzei Chaf, Nisan, Chaf Aleph, Leila Shana Rabbah. We're going to continue in today's Amud. Amud Kuf Gimel, Kuf Daled. So we're learning yesterday about Atik, Pnimus Abba, Pnimus Atik, how Atik itself is a Mamutza, and how Atik, being the Mamutza that it is, it has in it the two levels. The Tainug, Hamurgish and Tainug She'ena Murgish. And in the Tainug She'ena Murgish, we're trying to explain that the idea here is that you have the coming through the Gilui but it's coming through in a oifen. It's the exact same thing the way it is, but it's nimtza ben anetzalim. Similar to like a book, where you copy from one book to another book. It's the same exact thing, but you're copying in another book. But by the act of copying, it becomes a mamutza. We started the mashal of the meturgamon, someone who's translating over the seichel harav. So the seichel harav never is not given over to the am. Rather, the meturgamon takes the seichel harav, puts it into his own chushim, his own senses, and passes that on to the am. And here in the beginning of Daf Kuf Gimel, he says, similar thing we can find in Keser. Keser has an Atik Arich, and that's why it's a Mamutza. The B'chinas Atik, which is a higher level of the Keser, it's totally separated. The Eris come from there. It's not actually the level of Atik. That's what comes on. We're not getting Atik, we're getting B'chinas Eris Ta'arich Levat. So that's the idea where Atik is Taka Mamutza, but it's still B'chinas Tachtonish Mematzil, because that's never actually what comes down to the Nivroim. The atzmos of Atik is totally separated. Like by the Meturgamon, where he creates a new a new Dvar Chachma, which could actually go over to the Am. And this is how we could kind of explain this idea of the Keser, that it's a Mamutza Shaykh L'Oilumos, Hainu Ben Amatzil El Anetzalim. You do through the mitul of the Keser, through this idea of the Keser, there's a connection between the Yidden and the Eibishter. This also the idea of the middleman. Now, this is slightly different. There's two ways where something higher comes down to something lower. Either the higher level comes down, or the lower level goes up. When the lower level could not go up, the top level comes till the right in between the middle boundary, the middle spot between the Elyon and the Tachtin. And the lower level also all goes up till that middle level. The Sham Be'emza in the middle is Yachtim. Dugma L'Davar, an example. The difference of the level that Eibishter came down on Har Sinai, that there was mamish a level, a revelation of the Eibishter down here. This is that the higher level came all the way down. But then what's going to happen when Mashiach's going to come? That's the difference, right? Then there's going to be the Tachtin going up L'mayla. It's because the Mata is now on the level of the Milo, so it could go up. Yeah. Moshe went up, it's like going in the middle. Moshe went up Shai Bar Mem Yom, he was there for 40 days. Lechem lo yachal, he ate no bread. Afilu lechem the man, not even the bread of the man, which is ruchnistic bread. Sham nisachdim yadibur, and that's where the dibur, the Eibishter, came down and met him in the middle. Vatam lazeh v'shasagas Moshe Bari gavoya moed. Moshe Rabbeinu had a very high grasp of Elokus. Okay, now they read the Levad and Hemshech Lamata lo hayachalis b'chinazu. Through a simple Yerida L'may Lamata, he couldn't have had this level. They need this Elyon Lamata. This that the Elyon goes on Lamata b'feiz afanim. Oisham shachi Elias b'chinas gilim mam shal tachtam b'chinas pnimius. Either that the purpose of the Elyon going down is to actually shine Lamata, and if that's the case, then there has to be real tzimtzum, right? V'azam shachid b'chinas ar levad, you're only getting a limited amount. Or kasher nimshach b'chinas asmis, oz ein ze b'chinas gilim makabel b'chinas pnimius. Or when it's asmis, it can't be internalized. Kena makabel kliel zeh. Because you're not trying to accept it. So if you want to get bipnimius, it has to be only ara. If you want to get atzmos, it can't be bipnimius. In order for Moshe Rabbeinu to get the revelation of Torah, this is the revelation of atzmos. Ubipchinas pnimius, kind of these two opposite things which are not shaykh, but he does that. This cannot be done through the Elyon going down lamata. V'gam, adei aliyah levad the Moshe lo yachal kolkach. Moshe couldn't go so high up. Elo achash olav in his daka v'chol ma she'efshel v'b'chinas Moshe. However much he could have cleansed himself according to the level of Moshe. V'nachnu ma v'gam milmay lamata nimshach or v'b'chinas yirida, and milmay lamata the or is going downwards. As hayuchal yischaber b'etzap b'chinas. Because Moshe Rabbeinu is mizdakech as much as he could and goes as high as he could. The Elyon still remains lefi erech taka neirida, but it's still in the level of so it could be taka b'pnimius because you're keli. It could taka be atzmos because there's a zikuch. V'hainu does meir elim b'chinas. Yeah. K'makenu b'chol l'sham Yisrael yesh gam kin shum kamei chibur b'emtza. Mashkatsav l'avrecha b'vitz Hashem lekecha, to go between the bond of the Eibishter. The Pirish to Avrecha b'vris, who laver to pass madrega to go from one level to another level, ad v'kamachshaval yen b'chinas arich anpin, sherish makar and so until to get to the level of the source of the creations. What does it mean that we're to be for you an Eibishter? Hainu she'odin said baruch hu, hishpil es atzmei kivyachal b'chinas atik. The Eibishter kivyachal lowered himself to this level of atik. So this is different than what we said earlier about the mamutza to the oilamas, right? Because when we said the mamutza to the oilamas, we said that it's an oifen of totally netak v'nivdal. Here we're saying that there's kind of a meeting point where the neshamas Yisrael is zakh to go up as high as they could, and the Eibishter is kiviyachal mitzamtzim himself to be in the level of atik, but that it should be pnimius. Which goes to the Torah, the Varach Latam Mitzavim, Seif Amir, the Kikaret, Tzeit Tzimcha. The when the Eibishter lowers himself to this level of Aktik, since it could be a removal of the essence, it becomes a level of intermediate. So we have this idea where now the Eibishter Kiviyachal puts himself in the level of Atik, and the Yidden are shaykh to that Madrega, there becomes a Schabris of Nesham Yisrael. Again, the idea of Mamutza, slightly different than we said earlier, where this Mamutza is creating, like a Matorgaman, creating a new type of thing that is a new type of artists that come out of the Seichel Harav. Rather here, it's a Mamutza where you're talking it the way it is. Same way Ketzer is this intermediary, this middle boundary between the Eibishter to the creations. So does the level of Atzilus. It has the same idea, but the Atzmus Kiviyachal lowers itself to become this Mamutza, to become this intermediary. And this is this idea where it's the same level. The level of atik is what's totally separated. This level that's separated. Through this, that it's now redrawn down. And the level of chachma nasa b'chinas b'mutzah. So even though it's taka the same adrega, there's this idea where nimtza ben anetzolim, where it's nimshech to become a mutzah. Can I do the base b'chinas b'mutzah that still b'chinas chachma ilav v'chachma tata? Mishkasav b'ter the masal ki Avram lo yadanu. By Atzilus yuchol yisyachid beis hafchim. Through Atzilus we could combine these two opposites. Haynu matzil elyon and Seif Baruch Hu, the Eibishter, which is totally removed from Nivraim, iman Nivraim de biyah. So here we see chachma ilah and chachma tata. These two levels could then draw it down where you have the chachma ilah, which kind of corresponds to the matzil elyon, the chachma tata, which is the Nivraim of biyah, which is already when there's, I guess, an element of a nivra. But through this memutza, to this level of pnimis abba, pnimis atik, where the chachma of atzilus is nimshach from this level of netak, removed which the Eibishter lowered himself down to be, we could have a yichud. Sorry, not a yichud, a chibur. Of a makim acher mavur, the chibur adei chachma bina. Connection happens not through chachma ilah chachma ta, rather through chachma bina. The bina nikra shchinto ilah. Bina is called the high shchina, Hashem shemeshakenes b'chulu, since it rests. Since it's resting pshat of shchina is that it's resting down. The ekar level of malakam, which that's the level of the Eireliki, which is nimshach into the oilamas in every single thing. That comes from bina, because chachma is removed from oilamas in a sense. So dafka over there, the level of bina, that's where you have the chibur between chachma, which is the erin seif. The creation of atzilus is the intermediary. Where it's created as a mamutza, the idea of chachma and bina, yuchal liyas yischabros, there could be a connection. Torah is also the memutza between Atzos and Seif and Neshama Yisrael. Come on, Tlas Ksharim Miskashroim Dabeda Yisrael Miskashroim Beiraisa Beiraisa Kuchabrichu. Shadei Torah, through learning Torah, through having the Torah, Nasa Yichud V'Chibur the Neshama Yisrael Be'erin Seif. There's a connection with the Yidden and the Erin Seif. How does this happen? There's two levels in Torah. Mishkasav Oita Urka Salma. Puts the light like a cloth. So we have the idea of wraps the light like a cloth. So we have which is one b'china, one level. And then you have the clothes, which is another level. B'chinas primis v'chitzenis. The Neshama Yisrael, Elmadasa b'chinas asalma. Yidden reach as high as they could, b'chinas asalma. B'chinas atzos, Erin Seif, Baruch Hu, Yer the mashvil, b'chinas ha'ersha b'salma. The Eibishter goes down to the level of which then encloses himself in the salma, in the clothes. And then this becomes one. The B'chinas Atzos and Seif Shiur Misgav and Neshama Yisrael, and that the Eibishter connects in the Yidden. So we basically have a few different types of memutza over here, a few different levels of memutza. We have the idea of Atik and Arich being the memutza, which in two fan. So we have the Neshamas, the same level of Keser being Schabas of Erin Seif and Neshama Yisrael in a slightly different way, because he didn't reach to one level. Then we have the Atzilus being the memutza, either through Chachma Ilachat, Chachma Tata, or Chachma Bina. And here we're talking about Torah also being the memutza, Oita Urka Salma. Kaidua da Torah nikabris, k'mishkas of Ela divya bris, v'al pi advarim Ela karas Hashem machem bris. V'inen HaKrisos bris the Torah, who she'ein davar ha'mafsik v'neim, there's nothing separating. Shem mitzchabrim v'chinas atzmos shebetorah, or in Seif shebetorah. We connect with the atzmos of the Erin Seif, which is mulubish in the Torah. K'mishkas makam acher. This is the difference between the memutza, a level of intermediary, which is shaykh. So that's the lower level of the memutza. There's one part of it which is shaykh to the ilmas, and then there's the memutza, the Erin Seif and Neshama Yisrael. And then you have the other type of memutza, which is the level of memutza shaykh to ilmas. Is the first way we explained. The one we learned in yesterday's Amud, where we kind of related the idea of Atik making a memutza. So tachtonish b'matzil, rishonish b'netzalim, and you create a chibur over there. But then we said the idea of this chavos of Neshama Yisrael with the Eibishter, like Vayer Davai al Sinai, Moshe Ola Kim, where you kind of have the intermediary. The Mamutza there is a Israel. The Ba'ilma is a Mamutza Mafsik B'nei. The Mamutza is separation. Since there's a Mamutza, you're only getting a from it. Lo B'chinas Asmos cannot be in a Mamutza. Avatara in a Mamutza Mafsik. The Mamutza does not separate. And the Yidna Mamish connected with the Eibishter. Pizah Yuvan, according to this, we can understand the two levels in Tanakh that we started discussing in the last Maamar, and we started we asked the questions in this Maamar. That there's two levels. There's Tanakh Baba Morgish and Tanakh Shein Baba Morgish, right? Tanakh Etzem. How could you have two different levels in it? So he says, the beginning of Tanakh Baba Morgish, even though this is the Tanakh Atzmi, the same exact Tanakh Atzmi, the same exact concealed Etzem Tanakh that's in the Eibishter, this is the way the Tanakh comes through the concealed. The Atzmistic concealment of Chachma and Torah. She's helping us Tanakh Atzmi Mamash. This is the Taka, the real Tanakh of the Eibishter, which comes through Torah. But since it's coming through Chachma Chach, because that's how it's Mizgala, Pnimis Abba, Pnimis Atik, right? So he didn't feel it through the pleasure of Torah, through the taste of Torah, the flavor of Torah, and the flavor of mitzvahs. Not that we feel it in any way, just the maybe it's going to be this guy lost it. But Chach, it's Baba Murkish, it's Shaykh for the Yidden to contain it, it's Shaykh for the Yidden to have it. The Kashem, the B'chinas Atik. The same way this level of Atik, which is totally separate, taking the essence and removing it. But because it goes into Keser V'Atik, now not maybe through Arich, maybe through Hishbla Kadosh Baruch Hu, but one way or another, Atik is now a Mutza. Now create a connection. Shemera urban Neshamas Yisrael canal. Also the level of Pnimius Atik, which is Taket fully removed. But when this same level, it now could become this level of Memutza, as we explained earlier. So totally removed, but then it could then Ishbilas Asmai, and it's the same exact level. The Yachel, yes, was a Schabas Vatis, all the Mitzvah Loisasa. Like we said earlier, that's the Tfisa, the idea is actually love Mitzvah Loisasa. Shazain and Shmiim Yud Case Shasa. Same the intermediate of Torah. Which we connect through this to the Torah. So the same way we can understand that the level which is totally removed puts itself in the oifin of a mamutza, which is still totally removed, but there's a shaykhis now, right? Either through Yidiyas Hashlila or through the oiniga aspect of a mitzvahs, but it's a morgush. So we just take this one level up. We go to the first root, the first source of atzmos. Since this etzman the katainuk comes concealed through the Chachma Torah, so Mashiach comes, will be revealed through the time of Torah mitzvahs. What's the Hagasha here? This is the Taf Alman, the 400 worlds, the Ksufin of silver or of desires, the Yirtun Tzadikai Lasid, which Yidden are going to inherit when Mashiach comes, which again, this is Pchinas Oineg Morgash. They're getting something. Shazel Pchinas Oineg Morgash. And again, the Hagam, this is not like this is ein oinig atzmi. This is the real type of oinig. We expanded on it at Baruch last Maamar that it's not a tainug of chachma. It's sheer pashut. It's ein baba morkav b'chinas chachma v'tam. There is nothing else creating this tainug. The b'chinas almas and the chachma ein ze b'chinas tam v'chachma. Kim b'chinas oinig. This is not a reason or chachma, rather just enjoyment. Maybe now the revelation is intellect. It's only pure oinig. I think it's like because nowadays the galus is the rotzin. Maybe that's the word that he's saying over here. Is galus and zelbchnas sichli. Yeah. Vunim mashe pnimius abo pnimius atik mamash. Right now it comes through pnimius abo. Umekamakim muvad morgash. V'zel gam mashe oimer mashahu oimer b'meder shaba oisiatem loichim al dei Torah. She's up in the Tainug Atzis. The Atzis says every question about Chachma the Torah. So through Chachma. So nowadays Galus is maybe only through Sichli. Again, Atzmusdik. But last love it's going to be the Oinik. Ulamaylam is higher than this. The Tainug Atzis Moshe Bav Chines El Matzi. They say Mamash Shaloi Bav Chines El Matzi. The Chachma Sheni Bav Murgish Klal. Higher than this, there's the same level of Oinig, which does not come through the Chachma of Torah. Gam loy b'tayim Torah mitzvahs. K'may b'chinas atzos and soif. Shaloi b'aliyas b'chinas keser atik. Atzos of the Eibishter, which is not coming through keser and atik. K'may b'chinas atik atzma, and this like the level of atik itself. Shaloi b'adayim b'chinas chachma. So taka pnimius abo is pnimius atik, but that doesn't mean that atik is always going into pnimius abo, right? Atik l'chshatzim when it has not gone to pnimius chachma. The ene b'chinas b'mutza klal, it's not a level of b'mutza. The ene shach b'tfisa klal, gam loy b'chinas hashlilo d'loy saseh. So too is this level of pleasure, the way it surrounds in the atzos of the Eibishter. It's not drawn down at all, not even in the concealed etzim of Chachma. It's not felt at all.